Welcome to Verbal Pick Radio, where we give you a verbal image of life, and we are everyday people. I'd like to welcome you all to the show, reminding you of the up-and-coming documentary, Everyday People, which will be coming to you soon. Now, we want to jump right into it, as we always do. Your president, Donald Trump, made a statement, this is the calm before the storm. Now, a lot of people think that's North Korea. A lot of people think that's the Iran nuke deal that he's going to reverse. But it's not that. It's right here in America. It's already taking place. Started back with Hillary and Trump at the election. Then it moved to Bill O'Reilly and the CEO of Fox. Then it went to the NFL. Then in between, you have these natural disasters, fires that's taking place in California right now. Then it's part of the shootings of unarmed black men. Black Lives Matter. It's George Soros. It's all of these things. Now, recently, Harvey Weinstein. So now Trump's side has to hit back, and black people remind you, you are just cannon fodder in this war, I should say, that's going on right now. Because to get back at white liberals, they're going to put pressure on black people. And that's what it's about. You swing at a white conservative, if they can't get that white conservative, then they'll go after the black people in America. The NFL and what's going on, and you had one, Jerry Jones, took a knee. Now he's saying everyone must stand. Now you're being set up. Because if you don't take a knee, then you're giving in or bowing down to that third verse of the national anthem. You're bearing witness that you are a slave. And once you do that, there's no turning back. Then watch all the executive orders, watch all the new laws that will come into place that would damn near put you back in slavery. But that's what make America great again. When America was great, in their eyes, they would say the roaring 20s, the 50s, 60s, whatever time they choose, it wasn't great for black people. So when they make the statement, let's make America great again, they never will give you a specific time. You know, great again for who? Great again when we were fighting civil rights acts and voting bills and whatnot. And the reason being is, as any researcher or scholar would know, you have to go back to the foundation or the root in order to understand how things happened, what took place, how it became shaped in this order. If you're going to analyze the situation, that way you can get a over 90% chance of getting things right. Other than that, you just swinging in the dark. So we go back into where it all started. And as I stated, it started before the presidential campaign, but we'll start from there simply because that's the one that's most memorable. Because the blows that was going on between the Trump campaign and the Clinton campaign, it wasn't just words. You had people who were on their way to drop off some emails that could have been damaging, and the person wound up getting killed. You had Russia involved, hacked emails and meddled into the election of America. You had President Trump refusing to denounce Russia. He said it could have been anybody. It could have been a 300-pound man in his mama's basement or some to that effect. You had fighting going. I mean, you had Clinton, Bill Clinton, enter on the Air Force, and Loretta Lynch and question her privately, which was shouldn't have been done, and she said she'd never do that again. All these things were shaping up to what we were experiencing today. Now, whether some say Colin Kaepernick took that knee for his own selfish reasons or selfish gain, doesn't matter. The fact is, he took a knee. And he took a knee towards something that he knows. So he's saying, look, this is a mulatto kid. Been treated black all his life. He understands. He just got fed up because he felt as though he had that white privilege, but he realized how sick and racist some are in this country. So he's like, look, I'm not standing and putting my hand over my heart for something that was founded upon me remaining, or that one drop of black blood remaining a slave. And then the way blacks are treated in this country, they're bagging up that third verse of the national anthem. They're saying, yeah, the only way we'll give you peace is when you're dead, when you're in the grave. Then Brother Bennett for the Seattle Seahawks, he gets taken down in Las Vegas. Now, by a police officer who was responding to someone who claimed they heard shots, but there were no shots. Quiet before the storm. There was no shots. He goes on television saying that the reason why they just picked him out the crowd and threw him down because of the color of his skin. The police responded that his officer, the police chief, was stating that his officer did the right thing. What's the right thing? If you even think or consider a black person a suspect, take him down, pull your gun to his head, he's saying he did the right thing as far as that's what we teach them to do. Well, why do you teach them to do that? Because in our eyes, every black man is a criminal. Therefore, he can be relegated back to slavery. But what they fail to realize is more people are understanding their history. And I'm talking about the Caucasians. more people are understanding their history and their atrocities that they've inflicted on other races. And so their word is not held to high regards. Because now we in the show me stage. Your words mean nothing. As Brother Farrakhan stated, it's by your action, by your works. Not about what you say. You can say anything, but what are you actually doing? That's where we at today. It's your works. You can you can gossip and talk up a storm, but let's see your individual works, because a man will stand by his works or her works alone. So you can say, freedom and justice for all. We won't discriminate against race, against creed, against sex, against religion. It all sounds good on paper, but I remember a Sikh temple getting shot up. And that was deemed a hate crime. I remember a black church 9 in America being shot up. I remember a bombing of a black church that killed 4 little girls. I remember Emmett Till. I remember Eric Garner. And so many more who died at the hands of racists. And the reason why I say racist, because the guy that choked Eric Garner out, the police officer, showed no mercy. That was hate. That was hate. You know, and the reason being, and sometimes, and to be honest with you, the reason being for all of that is, and why we say systematic racism, is because they refuse to teach the true history of America in the classrooms. See, they have to keep this image that everything good about America was done by white men. And that's just not true. Everything good about America was done by Native Americans. Was done by black people. Was done by what you call today Hispanics or Latinos. Was done by some whites. There was some white men who had a hand in shaping America. But it wasn't all white men. You don't teach about the black John Hanson. No, you don't teach about John Horse. You know, you don't teach in your classrooms the mathematics and the science of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. The teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. You don't teach that in your public schools. And it's so much and so many. You don't teach about the Olmecs being the first black civilization in Mexico. You don't teach about the Moors who were already into this country as Muslims prior to Columbus. No, you don't want to teach why Tallahassee is Tallahassee, or why Memphis, Tennessee is named Memphis. And by doing that, you're doing this country a great disservice. It doesn't make sense. You can't shield white people from the truth. Because if you shield your people from the truth, when the truth gets out, your word is trash, it's garbage now. They won't believe anything you say. They'll lose all faith and hope in you. And the truth is getting out now. So the lie is trying to find something to cover or take cover behind. And who will they try to take cover behind? Black men and black women. So they're going to try to use black people as a scapegoat. They're going to try to use the NFL and black people as a scapegoat to the reason why they couldn't maintain the country. And that's not going to even work. So the quiet before the storm, that's basically what's going on right now. We're already in it. You may think that it's going to be something that's going on overseas with North Korea and Iran or Russia and whatnot, even though Russia has a hand in it. But no, it's going down right here in America. This is the quiet before the storm Donald Trump was talking about. Now that Harry Weinstein, whatever his name is, been exposed, they got to find another black person or a super liberal. They got to pull out their dirt or do something to them. And as it goes on and back and forth and on, it's going to get harsher, and one side has to hit the other side even harder. Then they got to bring in rules and implementations that's even harder, and they got to restrict some freedoms. And it's not that it's just to get back at the other side. And if they got to use black people to do it, they'll do it because, for one, we were supposed to be out of their way a long time ago. We wasn't supposed to even get involved in their politics and in their society and their life. We wasn't even supposed to deal with that. Those 4 black college coaches who said that they were saying that was getting young players to sign with certain colleges that support Adidas and certain brands. They was all part of it. They knew that. Been doing it. But since they had war, they got to come down on everybody. They'll expose every piece of dirt they got on you. They getting ready to expose it. And it's not the fact that it has anything to do with you. It's just that in the war, it's just what happens. They'll do it just to hurt the other side, to mess their thing up, because one told on the other, so now the other has to tell on the other. It's gonna just keep going. And it's going. And Trump knows how to fuel that fire. Because you gotta remember, he was in TV. He knows how to fuel the fire. So that's where we at today. Sit back and watch. But yeah, don't get involved in their politics. Because you're not gonna, nobody really, but you're not gonna get away with doing what they do. Black people get busted all the time trying to do what you saw white folks do. They got a camaraderie or a buddy system. You're just not part of it. So my best advice I can give to anyone is be you. Know who you are. Study yourself. Be the best you that you can be. Don't look over at someone else and try to judge for what they're doing, and don't know one look over at somebody and try to judge what another one is doing. Because we didn't create each other. The universal creator created us as beings for a specific purpose in a specific time. But you can lose your purpose and get lost in time, worrying about or looking over at things that doesn't apply to you. You know, you have your time for what you're trying to bring into the universe. And then another person has their time for what they're trying to bring into the universe. You know? And it's fair. So, definitely, we want to keep moving forward. And, how can I say, do a 180-degree turn? Or turn your back on things that don't apply or matter to you. Don't get involved. Pull yourself up out of their world and start creating your own world. That's what I should say. You know, start focusing on, when you focus on creating your own world and the things you need and how to build it, and you challenge your thoughts, and because you really truly want to see your people do better, then that creates peace, because it takes your mind out of all the negativity that's going on in the world. You don't really care. And if they not, it's like Neely Fuller said, if either you're going to be constructive or non-constructive. If what you're doing is helping building a foundation, let's roll. If what you're doing is not, then what's the purpose even talking about it? That's the mindset we should take on today. And you shouldn't be afraid when someone comes to you with anything. You ask them, well, how will that benefit me? Meaning, don't waste your time with anything that's not beneficial. What will I get out of it? What do you want? How much it's going to cost me? Or how much I'm going to make? Or what's my percentage? You know, because you got to build and eat for your family. It's nothing free. Hell, all the hell we caught in America and we looking for a handout. Nah, you make folks pay for your services and you give them a fair price and you build your money and you build your institution and you talk business. Now, no matter who it is, see, you get in the language of speaking business. What's the benefit? What's the cost? You know, what's my profit? What's the rate of return? You know, how long you want to venture into this partnership? This is an agreement. All that has to be put on the table, because we move out on feelings. Let's say it like that. You know, we'll do something and we don't want to come out and say, well, you know, what's my take? We just hope that the person is going to do right and give us a take. And it doesn't work like that. You know, that's why you have to have an agreement or an understanding. If you don't have agreement or understanding, of course there's going to be some problems. You know, that's natural. Of course it's naturally going to be some problems, because the what was supposed to come out of it wasn't explained in detail. You know, it wasn't written out. It wasn't put forth. So now we speculating on what we think it should be without getting clarification from the other side or from the other parties. And that causes a problem. Then we don't understand business. You have to understand, and I got this from Brother Robert Muhammad, you have to understand branding protect your brand as far as a business. Meaning that, and this is me talking right now, meaning that if I'm putting something forward, right, and I'm not bothering anyone, I'm producing my business, and somebody come way out the blue and attack my business, then it's things you can do, and one of them is foul defamation of a character. And then that ends that right there. Because that can hurt your brand, and a lot of times they would do it out of hate. But take that hater energy, though. That hater energy would be a electron. Take that hater's energy and use it as fuel for your fire to keep you moving. So, which is good. But trying to understand why the hater hates, don't waste your time, because because that study is overwhelming and it take too long to stop. Mostly it's the Willie Lynch syndrome, and when you're trying to build and move forward, all you can do is just be the best example and keep moving forward. And hope they catch on. The day of coming back and trying to shake people into consciousness is over. Just be the example and keep building and keep moving forward. And hopefully they catch up to your energy and your stride. If not, what can you say? You tried. Because building a foundation for the future babies is more important than going back trying to get the slave to have the desire and the want to be free. That's why Harriet Tubman stated she freed over 1,000 slaves and could have freed thousands more had they known that they were slaves. Because some that was back on the plantation didn't even know they was in bondage. They thought that was a natural way of living. And so you have that today. Some today don't know that they're enslaved. That they're enslaved. They feel as though that's just living life. The white man always been on us and gonna always be on us. You got to find that quiet niche, and you got to live in it. You got to keep your head down, and that's not lit. God didn't create the original man and the original woman to walk around with their head down, afraid that another man might come after them. You can't put that on the Creator. You got to put that on your own fear. But you have to keep moving forward and keep building a future for the babies. It's hard to go back and put that. It's easier to put that child on your back and run to safety than put a 300-pound man on your back trying to run to safety, and he got arms, legs, and everything, head, mind, brain, electricity flowing through the brain, and paralyzed or overdosed on white supremacy. Overdosed him. Everything, the way he viewed life is through the eyes of Europeans. But that's because he been taught by Europeans all his life. And they told him he better not go to another teacher that teach other than what the Europeans taught him. So when you flash a picture of Malcolm, I don't want to look at that. You put in a DVD or YouTube of Brother Farrakhan, I'll turn that off. You show him a a old lecture of Marcus Garvey, I can't look at that, you know. So be it. You know, what you gonna do? Tie him to a chair and put some in shock therapy and out of them and have pictures flashing of all the black greats until they get it, or move on towards the future and start building. I'm just saying, you know, I'm just saying, you know, it seems to me that the quiet before the storm, meaning that all the talking has been done. Now it's up to leave it in the Creator's hand. And mind you, all of this is part of a greater plan. They not in control of anything. If they was in control, they could have said, snapped their fingers and said, wildfires, stop burning. Hurricane Harvey, don't come. Hurricane Maria, stop. And they just would have stopped dead if they had that kind of power. And on the last note before we get out of here, once you attack freedom of speech, which is what is being done with the NFL kneeling and by the owners forcing them to pledge allegiance to something that didn't have their best interest in mind from the start. And that's where the problem lies. That document had words in it that they purposely took out because they took it out because it was very offensive. And they didn't say, well, look, let's rewrite something that's beneficial for all Americans. We'll hide the part that's offensive. We'll tuck that away. Even though it's a part of the whole. But we'll take a part, we'll scoop the cancer out and just give you this part, but fail to realize they didn't scoop all the cancer out. Because it still affected society. And so you had some, you had some who took that, how can I say, you had some who knew they took that third verse out but said, I'm going to live by that. I have money and I have these little small organizations and groups, and that'll be our force or our fuel to carry in our agenda. We'll pass laws and legislation. Behind the scene, we will remind our brethren that the slaves must never go free. See, that's the problem. And then you have a people who yearn freedom because they was not created by the white man. They was created by the Creator himself. So they can't bow to man. And so the plea is, and a peaceful plea. It's peaceful. Nobody throwing their helmets up in the stands and causing all kind of violence and whatnot. It just simply took a knee. And by them taking that knee, it drove white folk crazy. They really wanted to say, nigga, stand. Stand because your slave owner told you to stand. Enough said. Stand because your slave owner told you to stand. And by the way, put your hand over your heart. And they like, man, do you see all the injustice and police brutality that's going on throughout America? That's happening to my people. How can I stand for that? I would be a hypocrite. And what they're saying is, boy, you're not smart enough to know how to deal with such complicated issues such as this. You can't discern what your feelings are. You remember we considered you 3/5 of a human, so you don't have feelings. And if you do have feelings, you're not smart enough to discern what those feelings are. Freedom, what do you mean freedom? What do you know about freedom? You come from a slave generation, a slave past. We never showed you any freedom, so where you getting this notion of you want to be treated equally? Equally to who? You saying you want to be treated equally to white people? How you going to be treated equal to white people when whites was the masters and you were the slaves? That's non-existent in the eyes of white supremacy. But what they failed to realize, though, is that the indigenous blacks that were already here, that was always free, mixed in with the slaves that they brought over from Africa, which made them free too. Because we all know that in your genetic coding or your memory bank or your DNA carries memory. So you got free blood that wants to be free, that's always been free right on this soil. So you can't pull that all blacks coming from slavery, and so that's all they ever known through generations was slavery. So you must treat them as such because they've been so bonded to where they can't remember freedom. And that's not true. That's not true because the way the earth rotates, as it makes this 360-degree rotation, it's coming back upon, or let's say like this, freedom of time for a black man is coming back in time. Because of the rotation. Now we're back and screaming, this is injustice. This is not how you treat an individual. Hey, matter of fact, where'd y'all get it from on how to treat people so harshly and cruelly? Who taught you? And that's another subject for another time. Thank you all for listening. Verbal Pick Radio. You're out.